Welcome back to episode 4 of Moments with McClellan. And this time we have, for Black History Month, the Dean of the Virginia delegation, Congressman Bobby Scott.
Jennifer, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So we just asked some fun questions to learn some things about you that people might not know. No pressure.
That's trouble.
It's a lot of fun. We'll do an easy one first. It is, as you know, Black History Month, and we are both history makers in Virginia, a lot of history in Virginia. But if you could have dinner with any historical figure,
oh, God,
who would it be?
Well, there are a lot of historical figures. I have fun having dinner with Doug Wilder.
Yes.
I served with him in the state senate, and I learned a lot about politics from him serving, and he went on to, obviously, governor, lieutenant governor, governor, and mayor. But there's a lot of good stories. So I'll stick with Doug.
I think that'd be a fun dinner. And you and I both came out of the General Assembly. I think we both served in the House and in the Senate and then came to Congress. What lessons did you bring with you from the General Assembly?
Well, I have been amazed that some people come here with no legislative experience. And those that have served in the legislature really have an advantage. First, just the procedure. I made a motion in one committee and got a bill killed, essentially an amendment killed. And people were just amazed. Where'd you learn how to do that? I said, well, it did it to me when I was in the state senate.
That's right.
That experience allows you to know what's going on. Another thing you learn is that the legislative process involves people. And you have to know who the people are that are going to be involved. And if you have a bill, you get a sense of subcommittee, committee, on the floor. You get a sense of, you have to know who's going to jump up and help or hurt along the way. And if you can think a couple of steps ahead, you can eliminate a lot of problems.
That's true.
And that's just knowing people. And people have, I mean, everybody comes with their own background. If you have a very conservative person, never believes in a lot of things, but he has a disabled child, all of a sudden, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act might be something he can help you with. And so you've got to really learn the people, and you learn that lesson at the General Assembly.
That is definitely true. I tell a lot of people that I feel kind of like I've graduated high school and come to college, coming here. So, all right, some fun things. What is your favorite place to visit in Virginia?
In Virginia, I like the Skyline Drive.
Very pretty.
Parts of Richmond, parts of Hampton. Hampton Roads has a lot of places to visit, a lot of attractions. Living Museum, Air and Space Museum, MacArthur Center, Children's Museum in Portsmouth. And there are a lot of attractions in Hampton Roads that would be ideal for families.
Good. Well, and when you first came to college, when you first came to Congress, you represented Richmond, so I'm glad we still make your list of favorite places to visit.
Oh, yeah. And I made a lot of friends in Richmond.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And what's your favorite snack?
Well, I snack like tapioca, but I guess that's a dessert. Jamba Juice, is that a snack?
That'll count.
Okay, we'll go with Jamba Juice. They have a place in Longworth Building, and if the line's not too long, I'll stop by and get something to drink.
I actually just had a smoothie bowl a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
So. What advice would you give someone who's interested in public service?
To get involved in activities, organizations, political career, there's so many things beyond your control. If you're in a district where there are popular incumbents, there may not be realistic opportunities. If you're in an area where the incumbents are not very popular or are of the other party, where you have a real shot at running. But there's so many things. Some people will retire unexpectedly. and you just can't plan for those kinds of things. But there are opportunities in public service. A lot of organizations, um, NAACP was the organization I started in, and I got involved in that organization because when I came back from law school, there was a housing situation, and we got a little group together to deal with that. Healthcare, we got a little group together to deal with that. Um, Voting, we got a little group to do voter registration. And we kept saying, there ought to be one group because we spend all our time getting together and organizing. If we just had one group, and then you learn the NAACP has a housing committee, a voting committee, an employment committee for discrimination cases. Every education, every issue that you want to deal with, the NAACP already has a committee. So if you get involved in the NAACP, you can instantaneously be involved in everything, all the issues that you want to be involved in. And so that's how I got involved. There are other organizations that you need to be involved with. And if there's an issue that you're particularly interested in, there are a lot of nonprofit advocacy groups in that area, in the environmental issues, healthcare issues. And to get involved in those, there are a lot of jobs in government, um, um, in in the legislature and legislative committee staff, in government agency positions, deputy secretary, this, that, and other. There are a lot of ways you can serve that have a lot more predictive value to it, where you can predict, a kind of course. There's so few elected positions that people said, "Oh, I want to get involved in politics." It depends on where you live. If you live in an area that is the opposite of your political background, nobody's going to vote for you.
Right.
So, doesn't care what you want to do. And so that's much less predictable, but there are a lot of ways that you can serve if you get a sense of the kinds of issues that you want to advocate for.
Yeah. So as the dean of the delegation, you've seen a lot. Do you have a favorite moment from your time on the Hill?
Favorite moment? No, but you mentioned dean of the delegation. When I first got here, John Warner was dean of the delegation, and he kind of set the tone for the delegation. We're here to be responsible, to advocate for our constituents in a responsible, dignified way. And over the years, that kind of dignified way has kind of fallen apart. But we have tried to maintain that in John Warner's spirit in Virginia. We still have our monthly luncheons, get together. We recognize we're not going to agree on a lot, I guess even most issues. But if something affects Virginia, like in Hampton Roads, if it affects shipbuilding, we ought to be able to work together for our constituents. And having maintained that kind of decorum and working relationship, when something comes up, we don't have problems getting together to deal with it. I've seen other delegations, one I won't name, several all Democratic members, they are constantly stabbing each other in the back. I don't know how they get anything done. And others where they're criticizing adjoining districts where they're publicly attacking each other.
Yeah.
I don't see how they get anything done. And we have still been able to maintain a very effective working relationship. So when they start messing with aircraft carriers, we can get everybody together. If something affects Southwest or Richmond or Northern Virginia, we can all work together.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite parts about being here. So going back to our Black History Month theme, we are only two of only four Blacks who have served in Virginia. What do we need to do to ensure we're not the last?
Well, that's what they always say. You want to do a good job. You may be the first, but you want to do a good job so you won't be the last. And I think by focusing on issues and focusing on the job, there are a lot of distractions around here. Whether or not Donald Trump gets convicted, or what somebody says is more outrageous than what they said before. You could spend all day talking about that. But that's not going to house the homeless or educate the children or provide any health care. We need to stay focused on the issues. And I think to the extent that we do that, we can advance the cause, help people, and represent them for the reasons they sent us to Washington.
Yeah, yeah. So what is something people would be surprised to learn about you?
I don't know. When you've been in public life as long as I have, and not that many secrets. But my staff has suggested that I do like to play poker, but you got to play. I'm not going to play in Hampton Roads. So if I'm in New Orleans or Las Vegas, I might play poker. I enjoy that. Not going to play at home because two things can happen. I win, everybody, my constituents are mad at me, or two, I lose. Or what's the upside of that?
Yeah.
But that's something I enjoy.
Okay. All right. And I understand you drive yourself to DC every week. What do you listen to?
As opposed to what? Nobody,
well, it could take the train or somebody drive you.
The train takes too long. And the plane, even if it's scheduled right when you're ready to go, by the time you've gotten to the airport, waited, flown, gotten from the airport, you may save half an hour, 45 minutes. You could have just gotten in the car and driven. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and if it's early in the morning or in the afternoon, public radio, morning edition, all things considered, kind of boring.
I usually spend that time either on the phone. I'm starting to get into audiobooks, so I'll need some recommendations for that. Okay, so today's a fly out day. After a long week, crazy week, you're back home. You don't have anything on the calendar. What do you like to do to relax?
Well, I'm gonna be late getting home. There are a couple of events in Richmond that I might stop out on the way. We weren't expected to be out today.
That's true, right?
The Republicans discombobulated and couldn't even procedurally bring up bills that were supposed to be scheduled for tomorrow. And so there are a couple of events, one of which is they call it a gala. It looks more like an open house for the new General Assembly building.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to try to make that. And that's interesting because the old General, this is how long I've been around, the old General Assembly building, the first year I was in the House of Delegates was the year they opened.
Oh, wow.
So it's real interesting to see the brand new General Assembly building. So I look forward. I was there a couple of days ago, but just very briefly, but it's just going to be interesting. I'm sure they're going to have tours and everything.
Yeah, I think so too. It's I got elected here right before the new building opened. So yeah. I haven't been inside yet, but I hear it's great. Okay, so we're gonna do a lightning round to finish out.
Oh, that's trouble.
That's fun. No hard questions.
Trouble.
What is your favorite hobby?
Tennis, but I haven't been able to play very often.
All right. Do you like the beach or the mountains?
Beach.
That's not a surprise.
Not even close.
What's your favorite book or movie?
This is really boring. My favorite movie is A Man for All Seasons.
That's actually a good movie.
So that's really boring.
That's not boring. Favorite season?
Summer.
Yeah. Favorite place you've ever visited?
I kind of like New Orleans is probably a favorite kind of vacation spot. I like the music, places to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. We learned some new things, and that's why we like doing Moments with McClellan, because you see us on TV, you see the work that we've done, but we want to give you a little bit of insight into who we are as people. So it's been my pleasure to interview the Dean of the Delegation, Bobby Scott.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Okay.